Yes! Oh, it is. It is. Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, streaming live on 5 Reasons YouTube here on this blessed Tuesday. We are back to our regular time at 12 noon. We appreciate you guys spending your lunch hour with us. We did move it back 2 hours. Hopefully that didn't throw off too many of your schedules yesterday. Had to have a late start at 2 p.m. yesterday, back at 12 noon today and for the foreseeable future. And a really, really busy show today. There is trouble in the Tebow verse. We will get to that. We will talk plenty of Miami Heat on this episode. Brady Hawk is going to join us at 12:15. The boy wonder, Brady Hawk, will help us break down Summer League, break down what the Heat roster is going to look like this year. Why is the NBA disrespecting us and not giving us a Christmas Day game? More on that. We'll talk plenty of Dolphins. Jason Sarney from Fin Maniacs is going to join us at 12:40. But I want to remind all of you good people out there, Donno Daily is brought to you by BetUS.com. They are the official sports book of this show. I believe in BetUS. Their customer service is second to none. They have odds on literally everything, my friends. It is a sports bettor's dream. Bet with the 3-decade leader, BetUS. Join now for a 125% sign-up bonus or even a 200% bonus if you use crypto to deposit. So whether you're using a credit card or crypto, we have your hookup if you use our promo code 5RSN125. Just type in 5RSN125 at checkout. You'll get a 125% sign-up bonus and bet sports. They've got a casino right in the sports book, horses, pop culture, and more at BetUS.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS. We are also brought to you by the place that makes me hungry when I talk about them. The Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill, the freshest seafood on planet Earth. I love the oysters, the Maine lobster, the sushi. I love the buffalo shrimp. And the Quarterdeck, by the way, when you want to kick back with a cocktail or two, they offer 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. The happy hour never ends at the Quarterdeck. Make the Quarterdeck your spot to watch every UFC pay-per-view fight with zero cover charge. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. Well, my friends, this is either a sad day or a very happy day, depending on your perspective. I think it's a very happy day for a lot of you haters out there. He broke the news himself. Throw up that Tim Tebow tweet. He didn't need to get scooped. He didn't need Schefter to have it first or anybody. Tim Tebow tweeted this morning, "Thank you to the @Jaguars organization and everyone who has supported me in this journey. And we know that God works all things together for good." Romans 8:28. So, of course, after Tebow tweeted that, then you had every NFL reporter scrambling to retweet it, comment, tweet it, confirm it. Tim Tebow has been let go by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, if you watched, and I didn't watch the game in its entirety because I'm not even sure if it was televised in my area, nor should it have been. But if you watch any portions, plenty of video clips are making the rounds of Tebow's efforts in the first preseason game against the Cleveland Browns and his attempts at blocking. You're not very surprised that he's out of a job today. I'm sure he'll have another job very soon. I don't know if Tebow wants to try his luck playing professional hockey. Maybe he'll try his luck at badminton, or more than likely he'll end up in a broadcast booth somewhere because I think he's pretty darn good at that. But Tebow, he can't block worth a lick. I believe he tried to make this transition to tight end about 10 years too late and $1 short. So Tebow is out of a job for today. Now, you may not know it based on what I've said over the last couple of minutes, but despite the fact that I'm a Miami Hurricane alum and fan, and I've got no love for the Florida Gators, I'm actually a Tim Tebow fan. I like the guy. I think he's a really positive individual who does a lot of good charitable work, and he stands up for his feelings and his beliefs, and I respect that about Tebow. I do respect it. And I see a lot of people saying things this morning, even in the wake of his release, which is what you wanted to happen in the first place, many of you. I see a lot of people saying things this morning that you're angry that Tebow, in even getting an attempt at making the Jacksonville Jaguars, has taken a shot away. He's taken one of those preliminary 90 roster spots away from some undrafted free agent out there, from someone who may have, in your mind, deserved this opportunity more than Tebow deserved it. You see this argument a lot. This is kind of similar to the Udonis Haslam thing when we talk about the Miami Heat. I've got news for you. Life isn't fair. Football, I know you'd like it to be, and it may be in some utopian parallel universe it is, but professional football is not always a meritocracy. Sometimes who you know, which is the case of Tebow with Urban Meyer, and how many jerseys you can sell, because Tebow is outselling Trevor freaking Lawrence once they put his jerseys on sale. Factors like that are going to jump you to the front of the line when you compare it to other undrafted prospective free agent players, okay? And you can use this example in many walks of life. It's not just in sports, okay? I can say personally, I've lost out on some broadcasting jobs to people with more Twitter followers than me, maybe more recognizable names and faces that I have. And in some cases, maybe not all cases, but in some cases, I would have done a better job than those people in those opportunities they got over me. But I didn't cry about it. I didn't lose any sleep about it because life doesn't work that way in football. Life doesn't work that way in broadcasting. Life doesn't work that way in any high-profile entertainment-related job. And hey, I may have taken jobs away from other people for the same reason. So sometimes what goes around comes around, okay? We know that Tebow and Urban Meyer had a great relationship a decade plus ago at Florida. Tebow was an absolute machine as a college football player, one of the best college players I've ever laid my eyes on, man. And listen, sometimes who you know and who you've worked with does matter. The Jaguars gave Tebow essentially a no-risk contract, because remember, non-guaranteed contract. There was zero guaranteed dollars on that. Tebow could have stayed in his ivory tower. He could have made probably more money working the last couple of months as a broadcaster, but he chose to take another shot at his dream in the NFL, and it didn't go his way. He took that opportunity. The Jaguars took a chance on him, and they cut bait. They really don't lose anything here. I've got, and I know I'm not, well, let me read this comment here from our guy, Raymond, G.A. Kane fan. Afternoon, Alex. Tebow just goes back to the ESPN SEC network and make $1 million a year from that. As he probably should. I mean, Tebow is actually a needle mover when it comes to the SEC network. And man, think about the SEC network in the next few years once they add Oklahoma and Texas, which is going to happen. And God, maybe Clemson and Florida State and whoever else joins that league. Ohio State and Michigan might join the SEC. The SEC network is going to be like bigger than ESPN in a few years, perhaps. Okay. So, I've got another theory, though, on the Tebow signing. And I brought this up. Let me put my tinfoil hat on for a second. I brought this up shortly after the move was made. And the timing of the chatter starting, I thought was way too obvious to be coincidental. Jaguars bringing in Tebow right around draft time and finally cutting him loose today. Think about how much pressure that took away from Trevor Lawrence. Oh, and by the way, Andrew Green, huge thank you for the donation, my man. He says, never been a Tebow fan, but kudos to him for trying again. And it was no risk. Like, Tebow didn't hold them to the fire and say, hey, guys, I'm going to sell you literally 1 million jerseys over the next couple of months, so you need to pay me more than a minimum unguaranteed deal. No, Tebow just said, whatever is the least amount of money you would pay a free agent to come in and be a training camp body, pay me that. That's all that Tebow asked for, non-guaranteed. So he made a couple of practice checks, but now they cut him loose on his way. No more financial hook in that, okay? But guys, the Jaguars signing Tebow for ever such a short amount of time, that took a lot of pressure away from Trevor Lawrence, okay? Number 1 pick in the draft. I would argue he's the most generational quarterback drafted. If you go by talent, I'm not going by the career this other guy had, but the most generational quarterback drafted since Andrew Luck 9 years ago. And yet, from draft day until today, the conversation about Jaguars football has been all about Tim Tebow, not Trevor Lawrence. And I find it fascinating, okay? Because Trevor Lawrence, a player of his stature, another one of these best college football players of all time, so much hype for the last couple of years. For like 3 years, we've known Trevor Lawrence as a future number 1 overall pick. And yet, from late April when he was drafted right up until today, everyone Jaguars is talking Tebow. They're talking Urban. Trevor Lawrence was able to fly under the radar, focus on football, duck all the media attention that usually comes with a top drafted quarterback in the NFL. And I look back to the timing of when the Tebow chatter first started, before they officially signed him, when I first started to see the Adam Schefter reports that Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're interested in Tim Tebow. Those literally started on draft day. Literally. On the day they were going to draft Trevor Lawrence is when you started to read the tea leaves and see these Tim Tebow reports. To me, this is not coincidental, my friends. I think that the Jaguars knew what they were doing for day one. Now, Urban Meyer said, hey, I can do a favor to the guy that helped me win at least one national championship. He won 2 at Florida. Tebow was a much bigger part of the second one than he was of the first one. But hey, this guy helped me win 2 national championships at Florida. One of the best guys that I've ever coached. He's looking for an opportunity to play in the NFL again, to change positions. I want to give this guy a shot. So Meyer did a favor for his boy. Tebow took an opportunity to try and get into the NFL again. And what's cracking, Joseph Rodriguez? Happy to see you in the chat, my friend. And at the end of the day, you cut bait. And in the process, you took a lot of that pressure away from Trevor Lawrence. So I find it to be very interesting the way that this has gone down, man. I find it to be extremely interesting. So Timmy Tebow, no longer an NFL player. So what do we think he does next? I thought that a good point was made by G.A. Kane fan in the chat. Probably goes back to SEC Network. You know, we've seen Tebow try professional football twice. We've seen him try professional baseball for a couple of years. Is there any chance he tries his hand at another sport, man? I kind of wonder about that. I really do wonder about that. So Miami Dolphins are back on the training camp field today. I think your decision on which wide receivers to cut loose, because you have a lot of depth at that position. Unfortunately for this individual, that decision was made a little bit easier today. I was very unhappy to learn about this because this is a really nice dude. I covered him at the University of Miami, had a chance to do a very long interview with him about 1.5 years ago while he was a Miami Dolphin. He opted out last year due to COVID concerns. He's had injury troubles throughout his career. We know this. Allen Hurns is going to be out 3 months with a wrist injury. The news broke yesterday, courtesy of Adam Schefter. He has an injury that requires surgery, 3-month recovery window. And as a result of this, guys, the NFL, we know, can be a very cruel place when it comes to roster cuts and opportunities being lost. I think Allen Hurns is going to be cut loose here in no time. You had a lot of tough decisions to make at wide receiver. When you have so many promising players at that position, you've got a few guys who I believe are untouchable or uncuttable based on their contracts. You know, you're obviously not cutting or trading Will Fuller, who you just acquired. Devontae Parker is safe. Certainly Jalen Waddle is safe after being your top draft pick. I believe Albert Wilson has played himself safe because of how dynamic he's been throughout training camp. Preston Wilson has had injury troubles. Jakeem Grant is maybe on the fringe, but might be saved by the fact that he's a special teams maven. Mac Hollins has looked like an absolute virtuoso here over the last few weeks and had a good preseason game. So, yeah, I think by virtue of this injury, it's really hard to justify keeping Allen Hurns on this team. So I think he's going to end up being a casualty there. But we'll switch the conversation now. I want to talk some Miami Heat with one of the best in the business. This guy is absolutely prolific, and I love the piece that he just published today where he took questions, Twitter questions from readers on the Miami Heat roster, summer league performers. And when I opened up this story today, and let's bring on Brady Hawk here from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. When I opened up this story, Brady, I was hoping I would see a steady dose of Turkish delight news on Omer Yurtseven, and the readers who asked you questions did not disappoint. You got a bunch of Yurtseven questions we're going to get to, but Brady Hawk from 5 Reasons Sports is with us. Good afternoon, Brady. How are you, sir?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well, man. So let's start with Omer Yurtseven because he's been a standout in Summer League. But as far as what the dynamic is going to be for him on the court with the real club, with the Miami Heat this year, and also because a couple of the questions you got, I think were good. Him being on the court at the same time with Bam Adebayo, how would that dynamic work?
Yeah, well, in an ideal situation, if you're talking about the final piece of Omer Yurtseven in the future, he's the perfect fit next to Bam Adebayo. It's not about his development right now. His skill set at the moment fits what Bam, does on both ends of the floor. Defensively, we've seen what happens when you put a drop big next to him. It allows him to be more of a freelancer on defense. guard perimeter, more often, not have to worry about the backside. That's what Yurtseven does. He's not a dynamic defender, but he's an incredible shot blocker just because of his length. And offensively, he's everything you look for in a guy next to Bam Adebayo. He's a pretty good roller off the screen, but more importantly, he's really good at above the break threes, popping out to the top of the key. So I think that's pretty ideal next to Bam. And then just in terms of role, I think it's going to be interesting because Dwayne Dedmon was really great. We talked about how great of a pickup that was for them, but he only played about 16 games last season. And, that was because he came off a pretty long layoff of not playing. Will he be able to go through an 82-game season and be sustainable? I'm not so sure about that. So I think there's going to be points of the season where Yurtseven's going to be your backup big and he's going to be trusted, for extended minutes. But when talking about a fully healthy roster, I'm not so sure it's going to be right now.
Yeah, Brady Hawk is with us here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. A couple of other Summer League performers. A guy, I did talk about him a little bit yesterday with Ricky J. Mark, who brought some good perspective, but Marcus Garrett, who's been really good, going to be a two-way guy, but could you see him getting a real contract by season's end, and how do you see him fitting in?
Yeah, I think that's going to be hard. I think it's definitely going to be the two-way contract. He's been a lock for that contract probably since his first Summer League game. As I said before, I just haven't really seen a player like him that solid on defense this soon, where he's a player that's going to translate well to the NBA if you put him in on that end. It just kind of comes down to where will his role be offensively, where will he be plugged in. He's been a capable shooter, which was kind of the question. And if he can become a spot-up guy, a 3-and-D guy, then he really will have a role. But Gabe Vincent's going to get the nod first. He has more experience. He's trusted in all-around areas a little bit more. Where I think if Gabe Vincent, struggles early and goes through and just not shooting the ball well and just becomes a defensive guy, which is pretty much what Marcus Garrett is. I'm not, I wouldn't be surprised if they turn to Marcus Garrett, but it is going to be hard to see him having a regular role. But in this type of season, once again, there's going to be injuries. They don't have a very deep team where it's very possible if somebody goes down, he could be plugged in.
Yeah, and they're going to have to navigate the first several months of the season without Victor Oladipo. We hope he's going to be full go by, February, maybe March, worst case scenario. But how is that dynamic? Let's assume at some point Oladipo is healthy and available and contributing. How does the dynamic change once he's back?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, you get a pretty trusted backcourt off the bench with Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo. We don't really know what the percentage he's going to be at, but any type of Victor Oladipo on the court is going to be a plus, in my opinion. You get defensive, attributes. You get a guy that can create his own shot, even if it's not 100%. In that kind of role, I think Gabe Vincent's the odd man out. Does Max Strus step up, and what kind of role does he have at that moment? I think is the big question, because you still have Morris, you still have Dedmon. If they want to cut it down to a 9-man rotation by playoff time, I think that's just kind of where they're going to stand. Is Morris clicking by that point? Is he not really contributing offensively? That's going to be, the one dynamic that I think by playoff time. Is it going to be Strus? Is it going to be Morris? Because at this point, KZ Okpala is not really in the running. That's kind of the competition you kind of thought about before, but Strus is now the main headliner, for that piece when Victor Oladipo comes back.
And I don't think anybody on the internet covers Max Strus better than Brady Hawk does. I mean, I can always trust Brady for some Strus-related content. And obviously, we saw some glimpses of him with the Heat last year. He's been dynamic in Summer League. Obviously, Summer League competition is not as high as legitimate NBA competition. So how do you see his game rounding out? Like, do you think Strus is becoming the type of well-rounded player that Spo can really trust?
Definitely, just because if you look back last season when he got chances, he did not disappoint. When he was out there, teammates liked him. He was contributing. Andre Iguodala and others made jokes that I don't think he's ever missed his first shot of the game, because he always came in off the bench and just nailed the first one. That's the type of guy that Eric Spoelstra would trust just due to consistency. He has a major strength that, he knows he does well, that he's not going to just fall off the earth on one major strength. Defensively, he's capable of basically holding his ground. He's physical. He can guard the post. I don't know if would be able to guard quicker guards, but I don't think he'd be guarding those players anyway. And what we've seen lately is, a little bit more off the dribble stuff. Of course, they were going to do that in Summer League, try to expand his game, see what he can do. But what we're seeing right now with him, off the dribble threes, crossing over, pulling back, step backs, like this stuff is real, that if he can even do a little bit of that next season, there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to have a role.
Do you think the Heat are being disrespected a little bit by not getting a Christmas Day game? Now, it's funny because I think some of the folks, maybe yourself included, who, cover the team and that's like a working day for you, might be a little relieved not to have a Christmas game. And I think some of the players would probably feel the same way, and coaching staff. But I know from the fans' point of view, one of the complaints I see, and this is the way it was worded in a Barry Jackson tweet when he talked about the Heat not getting a Christmas Day game this coming season. He said, this is the effect of being a first round exit last year. And then people are pointing out rightfully the Knicks were a first round exit. And also that franchise has been pretty worthless for like 30 years. They were a first round exit. They get a Christmas game. The Lakers, I know they're the Lakers, but they were also a first round exit. They get a Christmas game. So it's not really fair to apply that logic. So how do you feel about the Heat, who are usually a staple on Christmas Day? They've missed a few here and there, but do you think it's a little bit disrespectful for them not to be on Christmas Day this year?
Yeah, I think the Christmas game type thing is they're not looking for the best teams. They're looking for the most fun teams to draw in, viewership. And I just don't think from a general perspective that many people are excited to watch a Miami Heat team. New York Knicks brings something, just the arena, the fan base, the matchup with the Atlanta Hawks. That's just kind of what it brings. I think a lot of people would like to see the Miami Heat. They have a lot of new players. They have a top three of just defensive guys. They have a full out team like that, but it's just not a team I don't think a lot of people are excited to watch in that type of environment. And maybe if they had a rivalry of some kind, like Philly probably would be the closest thing, but if they had a real Atlanta, New York type rivalry from the year before, it's possible, but I wasn't really expecting it, is what I'll say, to kind of jump in there to be one of the top 8 teams at a Christmas Day.
I don't know, and this is more of an off-court thing, but and obviously you've covered Kyle Lowry's arrival so well. I wasn't even aware that there are some Toronto fans that are like upset at him for this, and I kind of get it because I play up the whole Team Petty thing with LeBron, and I know a few Canadians and they're a very sensitive people, Canadians, but I know a few who are actually like insulted because they thought Kyle Lowry didn't like praise the Toronto organization and the fans enough when he got traded, that the first thing he did was talk about the Heat. He didn't talk about the Raptors right away. Have you seen a lot of that, Brady, in your coverage of Lowry? Because I'm kind of wondering when he goes back to the Six for the first time next season, I don't know if we should now be expecting maybe more boos than cheers.
I think, I see a little bit of that, but I think that the consensus is that they're going to welcome him back if he does go back there. Where I kind of think back to is even the trade deadline of last year. He was basically saying his goodbyes at that time, where it was pretty, you kind of knew he wasn't going back to Toronto at that point. He was thinking he was going to get traded at that point. I think that was the major point where he was saying what he meant to the city, what the city meant to him, and all of that, where he's had these final pressers, even the one to end the season, where he's had that time. And I think this one was more of an opening to the Miami Heat in his future. So I don't think I would take too much from what he said. It's kind of basically based off what he's asked in those pressers too. He was asked a few times. So I think it's hard to say from that, but I think they respect him. He won a championship with them. It's hard to really, look at him as a negative player for the franchise.
I noticed Anthony Chang brought this to my attention today in a tweet of his. And, I'm a big gambler, not necessarily as big on futures as some people are, but the Heat have been given the 4th best odds to win the East next season. No surprise on the top 2, although I'm not sure if I love the order, but the Nets are first, the Bucks are second, then the 76ers are third, Heat are fourth. Do you agree with that? Where would you put the Heat in your likelihood of where they fall in the East?
I think best case scenario is a 3 seed. I think that's pretty clear. I think there are a few teams that, if things don't work out well for Miami, if they do have some injuries or a bit of an older team, it's definitely possible that they don't get it right early on and they kind of come together late in the season. I'm just not sure that it would be Philly that would be overtaking them as a 3 seed. The whole deal with Ben Simmons that's going on, where nobody really knows what's going on with that situation. Obviously, you have Joel Embiid. But you don't know how many games he's going to play in a season. I just don't think we even know what the roster is going to look like by the end of the season to give them a 3 seed, where Miami is pretty much locked in their whole rotation and nothing major is probably going to change at any point of the season. Where I'd probably feel more comfortable at this moment putting the Heat at 3 But I wouldn't be surprised if the season goes on and they're a 4 or 5 seed and then they try to make another playoff run.
Interesting. Well, good stuff here as always from Brady Hawk. Make sure you check out his work at the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Are you working on anything right now, Brady? Because you seem to be good for like 40 stories published a day, and I read all of them. I spend more time reading Brady Hawk pieces than I do novels. I love reading your stuff. Are you working on anything today, sir?
Yeah, probably summer league game at 3, final
Nice.
game. So I'll probably just touch on that a little bit and recap all the players that are kind of on the realm of making the team.
Well, good stuff, man. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, Brady does awesome stuff. He's absolutely prolific here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Want to get into, before Jason Sarney from Fin Maniacs joins us at 12:40, going to get into our Terrible Take Tuesday segment in a moment. Oh, my God. We've been gifted with so many bad takes this week. I also want to say hello to our pal. I was so caught up with Tebow mania. That's what Tebow does. Tebow is the great diversion. The same way that Tebow diverted so much attention away from Trevor Lawrence, Tebow diverted my attention away from this beautiful man, Sean Stanley, who is broadcasting, as always, inside the closet in front of the Don Shula football. Sean, good afternoon to you, sir. How you doing?
I guess my day is not out. I thought it was pretty interesting when you said it's a blessed day, the day that Tebow gets cut. You open the day, it's a blessed Tuesday, and the man, Tim Tebow, got cut.
And Manny's angry. Is Manny a Gator fan today? I lose track of his allegiances. Sometimes he's a Florida State fan.
Damn right. And I'm a proud student and co-worker of that great university in this.
It's a decent degree. Like it's better than a Florida State degree. It's better than an FIU degree. Like the Florida degree is nice. I'm going to give Manny credit for that. That diploma is a good diploma. Okay, so I want to get into our Terrible Take Tuesday, and Sean, you can certainly hang with me for this because I want your take on this as well. I hate to do this. Like I hate to out and shame coworkers, and yes, Terrible Take Tuesday is brought to you as always by our awesome friends at You Break Wheel Fix, offering refinishing and repairs on your bent or cracked wheels. Or you know what, guys? Sometimes you just want to trick your wheels out. I mean, we've seen what they're doing at You Break Wheel Fix, what they're doing, pimping out people's wheels in Miami Dolphins colors, Miami Heat colors, Miami Hurricanes. The Inter-Miami pink and black colors look absolutely badass on your wheels. You can get that done at You Break Wheel Fix. I trust these guys with my life. If you have bent or cracked wheels, these are the people you need to find and you need to call. They are the awesome sponsors here of Terrible Take Tuesday. Visit them on the web at youbreakwheelfix.com. And guys, follow them on social media. They are all over Instagram, and they're a really cool follow because some of the rides that they put in their Instagram feed with the amazing jobs on those wheels, I just go on a liking spree. Like when I see You Break Wheel Fix posting some of those vehicles on there, it's like. It's so cool, man. So they're very active on social. Make sure you check them out at youbreakwheelfix.com. Now, I hate to do this, Sean, and put the spotlight on a coworker. Don't worry, it's not you. You're safe right now. But a guy who just joined us yesterday, Ricky J. Mark here from 5 Reasons, tweeted out, "I'm that dude that when he eats steak, requires it well done. I know, that's life." Guys, there are 2 ways to ruin steak. Overcook it and then put ketchup on it. But if you overcook it first, it's already completely ruined. So there's not really any more damage you could do. It's like, man, I feel so bad. Oh, and even Royal A. Shepherd even agreed. I also don't eat animals that are still alive. Bros, eat hamburgers then. Like I'm telling you, very few things trigger me, okay? Pineapple on pizza, overcooking your steak, putting ketchup on things it doesn't belong on. Overcooking the steak is a big one for me. Oh, thanks, Manny, for trying to trigger me. Yeah, the Nutella, that triggers me as well. Nutella doesn't suck. It is the nectar of the gods, sir. But it's like, if you're eating a steak, unless you're eating it at like Applebee's or the Sizzler or something, if you're actually out at a nice restaurant, you're paying premium prices for a cut of meat. You completely negate that meat by overcooking it. Medium is the maximum, guys. I eat my steak usually medium rare. Sometimes I actually go full rare because I want that son bitch still mooing. But if you get it medium well done, you are essentially paying 3 times the price of what you should be paying because you should be ordering the chicken or you should be ordering the hamburger. If you overcook a steak, you completely negate what makes that meat special. It's a waste of money and a waste of time, and you shouldn't be doing it. So and also not only do yourself a favor, do the chef a favor, because I know some chefs and they may not admit it because they don't want to lose customers, but they cringe and they roll their eyes when they get an order for a well-done steak. Just don't be that guy.
Yeah, they just throw it on the grill, throw something over it, and come back to it in about 25, 30 minutes.
And they throw a little saliva on it as well.
I would.
So, guys, quick story. I normally get my burger medium well. Mm-hmm. I actually took Donno's advice and had it cooked medium.
Wow. It was better, right?
The flavor. Absolutely amazing.
And that's a burger. Like on a steak, it makes way more difference on a steak. Like on a burger, it's not that big of a difference, but on a steak, it makes a way bigger difference, man. So that is what about you, Sean? How do you like your steak cooked?
I'd usually do medium, or even medium rare, stuff like that. I mean, for steaks, yes.
Yeah, medium is the max.
I do medium well around that for burgers, but that's about it. And then I like the ribeyes. I'll do those at almost basically medium rare. Those just give me something, dunk them in, and we're good.
Yeah, I love being good. I love a porterhouse, New York strip, medium rare. The only time like I'll order a steak, like I usually go medium rare. The only time I'll say medium is he says, "Don't hate on FIU. I donate to the show." Andrew, I love FIU. Don't even take me seriously, sir.
Go Fighting Panthers, sir.
I gotta be nice.
Yeah.
I gotta be nice. Oh, baby. No, the only and you know what? I actually wore.
Does he have every school like on standby just in case you mention it?
No, it's funny. Like Manny has actually given me graciously FIU gear. So every now and then you'll see me turn up wearing an FIU t-shirt or an FIU shorts given to me by Manny Chang. I was wearing an FIU t-shirt at home yesterday, and my wife was so confused because we met each other at the University of Miami. That's how we know. So she's like, "What are you wearing FIU gear for?" I'm like, don't hate on the greatest school in South Florida. Butch Davis beat Miami 2 years ago. I represent winners is what I told her. But no, the only time that I will order a steak medium is actually when I'm at my father's house and he's grilling, because if left to his own devices, he will just not cook it. If you tell my dad you want a steak medium rare, it's going to touch the grill for 2.5 seconds. He has different standards than the restaurants do. So if I tell him medium, that's rare for most people. So that's kind of the way that we have to roll on that. So
yeah, that's here too. When I grill, I put it down. I count to about 10. I flip it 10. It's off the grill. So the kids are like, just cook it. Cook it.
Oh man, I love that. Oh, so I feel so bad for slandering. I slandered Ricky and Royal both in the same rant. Guys, I still love you. I want to do you a favor because you're overpaying for food. If you're paying for a steak and then getting it cooked rare, save a few bucks and order the chicken, man. You don't need to be doing that to yourself.
On Royal's take, though, he says he doesn't eat animals that are alive. That's a part of an animal. That's not the whole animal. It's not like we threw the cow on the grill. The animal's done. You're taking a piece of the animal. You're not eating the whole animal.
No, that's fair. I think you're taking him a little too literally.
That's what I got to do. It's wrong. You got to take them literally.
So I want to go. The next terrible take won't hit as close to home here for the 5 reasons contributors. Alex Rodriguez. I listened to this clip, but you can see the comment here. So he was he was doing some broadcasting on ESPN. And he said about the Los Angeles Dodgers, this is so funny. He said, the Los Angeles Dodgers, quote, have become the New York Yankees of baseball. Does this guy know how to make an analogy? Like, A-Rod, have the steroids that you took literally shrunk your brain? The New York Yankees of baseball. I am the Michael Jordan of basketball. I am the Dale Earnhardt of driving fast. Like, how could this guy not know how to use an analogy? Is it because he skipped college to go right to the majors? Do you learn how to make analogies in college? And this guy just didn't maybe show up for that class in high school. This is actually embarrassing for me because Alex Rodriguez and I went to the same high school, not at the same time. He's years older than me, but he and I both went to Westminster Christian. I feel like the private school system in Miami failed him. He's making analogies. The Dodgers have become the New York Yankees of baseball.
I'm sure Alex Rodriguez skated through.
I'm sure he did. Like, my God. All right. You know what? I've got to drag another coworker in the mud. I hate to do it, but you guys know that I stand for Tebow. I will not tolerate Tim Tebow slander. And Juan Cardona, at Exclusivity on Twitter, another coworker of ours, he tweeted, he quote tweeted Tim Tebow, which means, and by the way, it takes balls to do this because Tim Tebow's such a nice guy. You know he's not going to block you. Like, Tim Tebow's probably praying for Juan right now. He's saying, oh, Lord, all this negativity from Juan Cardona, please pray for his salvation. So he actually responds to Tebow's tweet. Good riddance. Can't believe some of y'all tried to defend him, taking an opportunity from someone who could have actually had a chance to make the team because he's a quote-unquote winner. Juan, baby, we've already discussed this, man. So what he took the 90th roster spot away from who? Somebody else who would have been cut anyway when Tebow sold like 1 million jerseys for the Jaguars, and he deflected that spotlight away from Trevor Lawrence. Mission accomplished. Tim Tebow is a great man. Tim Tebow is a great human being. He does not deserve slander like this. I hope Tim Tebow blocks your ass. I hope Tebow decides today is the day I let the devil on my shoulder talk me out of what the angel on my shoulder wants me to do. You deserve to be blocked, sir.
That's right. I say good riddance, Juan Cardona.
Good riddance, Juan. Slandering
goodness gracious
Tebow. How dare you, sir?
Man. He just can't be happy for anybody, this one guy.
He can't. Oh, man. Now, I need Sean's help for this one because this is a pro wrestling related tweet, which I believe is a terrible take. Wrestle Votes tweeted, with the success that Major League Baseball had with the Field of Dreams game last week, WWE has begun very initial discussions about doing a few off-site events in 2022. Some ideas discussed within creative include Raw on the Roof, Hammerstein Ballroom, and more direct festival shows a la Rolling Loud. Well, what the hell is Raw on the Roof? Is that just literally you find the roof of a building and do Monday Night Raw? Like, what are these ideas? My 3-year-old could come up with better ideas than this.
Well, see, now I'm starting to understand why Raw is so freaking bad right now. I mean, this is just literally nonsense. Like you're saying, Raw on the Roof. What the hell is that? Do they find a stadium, put the ring on the roof, and then the fans have to figure out how to get to the roof? They're going to helicopter people up to the roof? They're going to have them climb up to the roof? I mean, the Hammerstein Ballroom makes sense because that's already a facility, but Rolling Loud was, I mean, yeah, it got the product seen by a bunch of eyes, but when they took the SmackDown cameras and transferred on Fox to the Rolling Live, there was a lot of, I guess they had the little hype man up there telling everybody to start screaming and yelling, but during the wrestling, there was nothing going on. They were just sitting there kind of like, oh, okay, so this is our break time.
Wow.
They didn't interact with the thing. I don't think it was a success other than you got to see a bunch of people in the crowd. There was no reactions necessarily there. So I don't know. I mean, again, everybody's going to look at this Field of Dreams game and think that, okay, they can make it happen. But remember what Field of Dreams was. It was the movie that they brought the movie to real life. I mean,
right.
You can't replicate that with anything wrestling. I can't think of anything wrestling-wise that you can sit there and go, okay, let me go back in time and see this happen for real.
Hold on, I got another terrible take after this, but let's bring in our guest because I want his opinion on this as well. Jason Sarney from Fin Maniacs. I love this dude, and I see him in the chat. He says I'm all over this Field of Dreams wrestling take. So let's bring in Jason. He can also share another terrible take with us before we dive into the Dolphins. So, Jason, are you excited for Raw on the Roof? Like, what is your take on this wrestling stuff, sir?
I don't watch much wrestling anymore, but before I get into that, thank you so much for having me, Alex.
Our pleasure.
Sean, pleasure listening to both of you guys. But, I mean, come on. Field of Dreams is the greatest sports movie of all time, and this take is just off. You're talking about, the Hammerstein Bolt. No. You want to go with the No Holds Barred movie set. Remember No Holds Barred?
I do. Well, wasn't Hulk Hogan was in that movie?
Yeah. You're going to correlate a baseball movie to where Exactly right. And the way that you do it, whoever the main event is, the body slam has to bring the whole ring down, just like in the movie.
Definitely. Or just like throw somebody, or do the event on the roof and just throw somebody off the roof. Like, is Mick Foley still around?
Just throw McMahon off, and then you're good.
Oh man. And by the way, I was thinking about this. If we're going to do more off-site sporting events, because I thought the Field of Dream things was really cool, I'll tell you one I would like to see. I would love at some point, preferably a regular season game, but even preseason might be okay as well, for the Miami Heat to play a game on one of Mickey Arison's cruise ships. How badass would that be? You said those ships are big enough, man. You set up the full court on the Carnival ship, and you have to add like the whole extra element of like bucking with the waves. So maybe Max Strus wouldn't be hitting as many 3-point shots, or he would have to figure out the whole equilibrium thing. But how badass would it be to watch a Heat basketball game and like some Caribbean island is off in the background when they're playing on the deck of a Carnival ship? That we need to make that happen like yesterday, Sean.
And when you brought that up, it made me think of Lex Luger body slamming Yokozuna on July 4th on I think it was the Intrepid battleship carrier.
Wow.
Is where they threw him in, and he came in, Mr. USA, body slammed him, and then 3 weeks later he was the narcissist.
Wow. All right. So one more terrible take I have to air, and Jason, you tell me if you think this is legit. So International Champions Cup tweeted this. According to Hype Beast, the tissue that was used by Lionel Messi in his farewell Barcelona press conference was picked up by an individual and is now being auctioned for $1 million. Like, I don't know if that's like an Onion headline that International Champions Cup fell for and like they shared it. Like, I understand Messi, literally one of the most famous human beings on planet Earth. I get that, but is a snot-filled tear-filled tissue really worth anything, no matter who it came from? You know what probably happened here, Jason? Somebody probably really did take the tissue and they put it up like on eBay asking for $1 million, but the real bids are going to be like $11.
I want to know who's in the market. I mean, in the era of COVID, I want to know who's in the market for something like that.
That's a great question, because the other thing is, like, does it come with a certificate of authenticity? Because like, if you want to have that memorabilia in your home, like someone comes over, that would require way too much explaining, right? It's one thing, like my grandfather had a baseball that was signed by Babe Ruth, and that was a really quick conversation starter. Like, someone comes over to your house, here's my Babe Ruth signed baseball. Oh my God, that's incredible. So how do you do this with the messy tissue? Like, someone's over, you're like, hey, come over here. Let me show this to you. That looks like a used Kleenex, sir. But you know whose used Kleenex that is? That wiped the snot and the tears of one of the greatest footballers of all time, Lionel Messi. Like, bro, I'm at a loss, right? Maybe if it was like, a signed photo of Messi, that's one thing. But the used tissue,
it kind of reminds me of, when we were growing up, Alex. I know we're in the same age range. Remember when Michael Jordan's cologne, the rumor was it was the sweat dripped in each bottle? So that at least you could spread that out. You could use that for a month, half a year, depending on your cologne distribution. But I'm off the tissue idea. Too many germs normally, but in COVID, forget about it.
I wonder if people thought the Jordan cologne made them better at basketball. Like, if I can literally have Michael Jordan sweat in my armpits, I will play basketball like him.
There was the guy you played basketball with Jordan sneakers, the bowl shorts, the Jordan jersey, Jordan bandana, and was like 1 for 19 during the game.
That is too funny. Oh, man. All right, so we have, let me give the official intro. Jason Sarney, who's an awesome friend and an awesome dude. FinManiacs.com is where you find his work. Jason, first, I know this isn't a Dolphin story, but Tim Tebow was cut today, and that's making news. And he, like, even getting released, the guy is polarizing, because like there are a lot of Tebow haters out there who wanted him to get cut, and like they're still slandering the guy even though you got what you wanted. Like, he's been released. What do you make of this whole experiment? Because I think at least part of it was a calculated attempt to take some of the spotlight away from Trevor Lawrence, because if that was part of it, it worked, because everyone was talking about Tebow and nobody was talking about the number 1 overall pick. So it took a lot of pressure away from him.
I love that take. That's very cerebral of the organization, and in a marketing sense, home run, because they made the money and they're still going to liquidate all their merchandise and make money off it, because they're still going to make money off it. Like, I guarantee you, if there's numbers, I mean, who does this? Darren Ravel, well, he'll tweet this, I'm sure. We're going to see the money that Tim Tebow generated for Jacksonville. So in that sense, and in what you just said, I love it. But from putting stuff on film, I mean, woo,
those blocks. Oh my God.
I'd be praying for Tebow that, he just, Twitter goes down permanently and all social media goes down permanently, because that's going to be his legacy. Unfortunately, in the NFL, was a horrible tight end block. And, I don't know. Win for the Jaguars. Big loss for Tebow, I think.
Yeah, no, well said. And yeah, the viral videos, yeah, there was one, I think the one you're talking about, and then someone actually released a second block, which was on the very next play, which was just as bad. And it's like, oh man, I fully understand why they cut him loose. But let's talk some Miami Dolphins football. And I had the pleasure, by the way, of joining Jason and some awesome folks, including one of our viewers, Hassam Patel, was on the panel. It was really cool. I joined you guys for a little pregame stream before Dolphins Bears this past week. Let's start with the offensive line, because people are talking about it, Jason, especially. I didn't think it was all bad from the O-line, but Austin Jackson really struggled. And I've defended him a lot coming off of last year, where he was good at times, but was also injured at times last year. And after giving bone marrow to his sister, I understand the recovery from that is no picnic. So I am willing to be patient with Jackson. That was not a good performance, though. Is he top for you? And what are the biggest concerns you have on that O-line?
Well, the biggest concerns that I have aren't really individually. These guys still have to come into their own. They still have a month until week 1. So individually, you expect a guy like Austin Jackson, a first rounder, a young kid, recovering fully from what you mentioned, the bone marrow transplant, which is admirable. And this is a USC tackle, so I expect him to be okay. But what worries or concerns me is the whole is we don't know who the 5 are or where the 5 are. So this is basically an experiment between position flexibility, positionless football, as Flores has always said, versus getting one guy who can master the left tackle spot, getting one guy who can master the guard spot, left guard, right guard. So this is still an experiment. They used 5 different combinations last year, Alex, of offensive linemen, 5 different combinations. Like one of them 5 times, one of them 3 times, and you had 2 or 3 guys really rotate around, not just injury, just rotate around. So the identity of each position has to be kind of defined. And today we saw that Liam Eichenberg now is going to be a right tackle and moved out of the guard spot, which made me very happy, because I would love, and this is to me just the way I like to think, if you have a USC and a Notre Dame bookend tackle, that is, to me, that's poetic. That's football poetry right there. Because then you could have those 2 guys battle and say, oh, you didn't let Tua get – oh, neither did I. Oh, well, let's go again. You know what I mean? Why not? Because you got the right side being protected, which is the blind side, hopefully, by the Mauler and Liam Eichenberg. And you got Jackson hopefully not having that much reliance on protecting the blind side, because he might be a little bit more of that project. I think Liam could be better, frankly. So I like the potential of Liam on the right side. And then the guards still have to be figured out between Kinley, Hunt, what they're doing. I love Dieter at the center spot because I think he's going to earn the job. And then we'll see what Jesse Davis could do along with Austin Jackson. It's very up in the air right now. Let's
talk Tua, who I thought was fine. Like I thought he was fine in that game, but it's crazy to me how the Tua narrative has just gotten out of control, where people are just like, they have the tweets and the drafts already to slander the guy. And I think a lot of people didn't even watch the game. They just looked at the passer rating and they saw the clip of the interception, which was not good. Like, he was late on that play in every aspect of it. Late with his read, shouldn't have thrown that football. The interception was bad. Other than that, I thought he was fine. And we're talking about the first preseason game. How did you evaluate his performance there? And you can add into that as well what we've been seeing and hearing about him in camp. How do you think Tua is doing to start off this season?
I think he's doing better than we would have hoped progression-wise, slightly better, which is good. So I'm not going to go crazy and say he's, the second coming of Dan Marino or Steve Young, what have you. But I think that if you had to do that graph of a line, it's a little bit more green than it is normal colored. You know what I mean? He's starting out well. He made that mistake, which was a little bit of a hesitancy mistake. That's heady. That wasn't a mechanic mistake. It wasn't a bad, horrible duck of a ball. He's got to let it loose. And I think once he starts to let it loose and rely a bit more on his guys, and I'm not going to give Adam Shaheen a complete pass because he just kind of hung out in the end zone 2 feet deep and waited for the ball. He could have maybe made a little bit more of a play, at least negated the interception, make it an incomplete pass. But it was a mistake. It's on Tua 90%, 10 to Shaheen. He's been balling in practice. And I do think that if they play call the co-offensive coordinators to his strength, we're going to see open plays like the 50-yard pass to Gesicki, which really was a 25-yard, 30-yard throw that Gesicki turned around after the fact, got some yak to it. Get yards after the catch. That's, I think, the bread and butter. Throw those very short routes to 25-yard passes and let your guys do the rest of the work.
It's been like almost 3 weeks since camp opened up, and there hasn't been like a whole lot of consistency in the health of the wide receiving core. Now, the Dolphins are going to have some tough decisions to make on who to let go, because on paper, you've got a really deep receiving room. But at what point, and the latest injury was Allen Hurns, who's going to be out like 3 months with a wrist. So he may end up being one of the odd men out here. But at what point do you kind of worry about the chemistry of the wide receiver group and their chemistry with Tua heading into the regular season, when it's like day by day, we don't know who's healthy enough to practice from that room?
Got about 14 to 13 guys in that room right now. Malcolm Perry, I guess, is listed as a punt returner, wide receiver, running back, what have you. But I think what we're going to see is strategic usage of the NFL rules, meaning the PUP list, the IR list, what you might be able to do with practice squad players for the COVID protocols. What I mean by that is if you look at who's injured or who's banged up, it's literally 4 of the top 5 or 6 wide receivers that you hope to see. You have Will Fuller banged up, Devontae Parker banged up, Preston Williams PUP'd, Albert Wilson, as balled out as he'd been playing, he's still nicked up, what have you. And then you got guys like Bowden, you got Merritt, you got Loxley, you got Hollins, Foster. There's a million people in Jakeem Grant. So what I really think is going to happen is you're going to strategically see Will Fuller suspended week 1. That's not strategic, that's rules. And then you're going to see Preston Williams on the PUP or the IR after making the team. This is presumption, So really week 2, you have to start with 2 of those top 5 or 6 guys out, but they're kept on ice and they're kept in your roster, So to me, it's a front office's dream, sort of, to evaluate more people without having to cut them or release them. Your Jakeem Grants, your Merritts, your Isaiah Fords. Hurns obviously is not going to be a Dolphin. I mean, let's face it. Yeah. Whatever they have to do, his days might have been over with the Dolphins. I wish him the best, but I just don't see him finishing his career on the team. And all of a sudden, you have about 9 guys who could be a Dolphin. I think it's going to around 7 or 8, but that'll happen week 3 or 4 when Preston, I believe, will hopefully come off that list. Someone's going to have to go, if not cut already. So it's going to be interesting, but I wouldn't worry too much about the other injuries other than obviously Preston, who is out right now.
I got to ask you, big picture for the season to come. I saw these FPI numbers from ESPN, and our pal Kyle Krabs published this on his website, DolphinsWire.com. I don't know how these stat nerds come up with some of these things, but here is the Dolphins' odds according to ESPN FPI just to make the playoffs are 54.1%, which is pretty good. Like you'll take better than a coin flip. And as far as making the playoffs go, they have the second best odds in the AFC East behind Buffalo. This is where it gets inconsistent. Like, I don't understand how they come up with this. So to win the division, they've got the third best odds behind Buffalo and New England at 22.7%. So I don't understand how they could have the second best odds in the division to make the playoffs, but the third best odds to win the division. I guess that's over my head and above my pay grade. But those are some numbers to chew on there, Jason. And I do obviously agree with Buffalo being the favorite in the AFC East. So what's your prediction on where the Dolphins finish in the division, and will they get in or sneak in at the very least to the playoffs?
I do think, look, Buffalo is a very good team. That's, it is what it is. And I think that they're a 13-win team, especially when you consider that means they'll have 4 losses. So, yeah, I think Buffalo wins the division, even at 12 wins. I think the Dolphins are in the 10-11 win category, which, Alex, I think gets them. Listen, we're going to be watching nail-biting football week 15, 16, 17. 18. It is what it is,
That's right. We got 18 weeks.
We got 18 weeks.
That's weird to say. Week 18.
I'm like, week 18.
Week 18.
Is there really an 18? Yes, there is.
Yeah.
But we're going to be watching the last month, doing all the fun math as per usual, unless they run the table 5 in a row and start the season off 5-0, which I listen, stamp your ticket to the Super Bowl if that happens, because I don't think that's happening. Yeah. So, yeah, we're looking at 11 wins, I think, max, but hopeful more.
Well, and I want to ask you as well that question that came in from Ninja Viking, because it's a good one. Does Shaquem Griffin make this team?
I think he does. I think that he was the guy who knocked that ball out on the Needham wrap-up tackle in the game against Chicago. So he's a terrific story. We all know that, but he's a very good football player. I think they have a very good and interesting linebacker group. A lot of new faces other than Shaquem Grant. More than half the room is pretty much new, especially when you consider rookie outside edge rusher, defensive end, outside linebacker. They use Jalen Phillips. You got Bernard McKinney. You have Scarlett. You got new guys who are really jumping into the mix. But I do think that Griffin makes the team because he could be an asset really multiple phases of the game.
Well, this is great stuff. Make sure you check out Jason at finmaniacs.com. What's the Twitter handle, Jason? Want to make sure we throw that out as well.
I've changed it so many times, Alex. Believe it or not, I got to literally look at it to make sure I don't have a dot or an underscore that I don't say.
Hold on. I can check it here.
No, it's at Jason_Sarney, just to keep everyone up on their toes. And, it's like passwords. You got to change it every 5 months.
I can verify it. I'm looking at it right now. Jason_Sarney. He's a great follow and, of course, a great read at finmaniacs.com. Thank you so much for the time, sir. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, Alex. Have a good one. Always a pleasure.
And we were discussing so much business there that I didn't even get a chance to compliment his backdrop, because that framed merino jersey, which I'm assuming was probably also signed, it's a lot better than a Lionel Messi used tissue. That is a much better piece of memorabilia to have there. Memorabilia. I don't know why that was a tough word for me to say there. I'm not done today, by the way. We're going to be back with you at 6 o'clock. We're going to have our 5 rounds MMA talk show tonight here on 5 Reasons Sports Live, 6 until 7:30 p.m. Now, usually we do that show on Thursdays, but since me, Jonathan Ramlakan, and I think James Walker as well are going to be at the Hard Rock this Thursday covering the PFL MMA event, we moved the show from Thursday to Tuesday today. So tonight, 6 o'clock. And for you MMA fans out there, it's going to be a good one. Kenny Florian is going to join us at 7 o'clock. Former Ultimate Fighter winner, longtime UFC fighter. Actually, I don't think he won the Ultimate Fighter. I think he came in second place, but whatever. He had a tremendous UFC career. He's now a PFL commentator on ESPN. Kenny Florian, Ken Flo, is going to join us at 7 o'clock tonight. I'm sure he's going to bring it strong. We're also going to talk to a fighter from BYB Extreme Bare Knuckle Fighting. So it's going to be a really interesting show tonight. Frank Zaffrey, James Walker, and I will have that for you guys. And my friends, make sure you check out our wonderful sponsors. You Break Wheel Fix. They sponsor Terrible Take Tuesdays. Guys, this is the spot. If you have bent or cracked wheels that need repair, you want to call You Break Wheel Fix and check them out at youbreakwheelfix.com. If you just want to trick out your wheels in Dolphins colors, Heat colors, Canes colors, Inter Miami, Marlins, whatever's on your mind, you can do that at You Break Wheel Fix. Make sure you guys sign up at the official sports book of Donno Daily. I believe in these guys so much. I am such a proud customer of BetUS.com, the official sports book of Donno Daily. Guys, their customer service is second to none. As soon as you sign up, you have your own individual customer service rep who is there to answer any questions you have. If you need them, if you don't, whatever. My customer service rep is Carla. She's available by phone and by web, essentially 24 hours a day. Any questions I have about the betting process, parlays, whatever, I can run them by Carla. They really treat you like a VIP at betus.com. And I treat you like a VIP at betus.com because we have a hookup. When you sign, I don't know why I went way high there. We have a hookup. When you sign up at betus.com and you make your deposit of at least $100, type in our code with deposit 5RSN125 and you instantly get a 125% sign up bonus. So if you deposit $100, your $100 is there, and then they gift you $125 on top of that in free play money. How good is that? Use our code 5RSN125 for 125% sign up bonus. And of course, make sure you patronize the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Oh, I love the seafood. And guys, check out, if you've never been, all the locations are great, but if you've never been to the Dania Beach Pier location, check it out because you feel like you're on vacation. It's right out there on the water. Like, all your cares will disappear. I love the Quarterdeck Davie, the Quarterdeck Fort Lauderdale Beach. There's so many options. If you want to find the location nearest to you and peep their menu while you're there, check them out at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. And make sure you make the Quarterdeck your spot, not only for fresh seafood and for 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day, but make them your spot to watch every UFC pay-per-view fight with zero cover. You pay nothing at the door to watch a UFC pay-per-view. That is so, so great. Huge thanks to Jason Sarney for joining us and Brady Hawk. If you missed either of those interviews, I know our guy Manny is going to have them posted even as separate files on the YouTube page. But if you missed the entire show, check us out on 5 Reason Sports on YouTube and make sure you smash the like button and you subscribe to the 5 Reason Sports channel. So huge thanks to Sean, our pro wrestling expert, and Manny, who just loves to annoy me with his anti-Nutella propaganda, and to our guest, there it is. And thanks to our guests and to all of our commenters and listeners who joined us today. You guys and girls are all awesome. We will talk to you again tomorrow, 12 noon, right here on Donno Daily on the 5 Reason Sports Network. Ciao.